Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be talking about the Super Nintendo. And here I have two Super Nintendo systems, and the one on the left is an older one, and the one on the right is actually a newer Super Nintendo. And I'm going to be talking about some of the ways you can tell the difference between the two. First off, you can see on the newer one that there's a sticker here, and this just talks about making sure the power is off before a game pack is inserted. And if we flip the systems over, another way you can tell between the newer and older Super Nintendos is the serial number. Here is the older one, and then over here is the newer one. Notice that on the newer one, there's a small gray box around the last digit of the serial number, and so that's how you can tell that it's from a newer batch of the Super Nintendos, whereas this one doesn't have that. Other than that, there are a few minor differences on the bottom. If you want to open up a Super Nintendo, you just need a 4.5 security bit here. And then once you remove the screws, this lifts right off. Internally, there are some more differences between the newer and older Super Nintendos. One of the major differences is that in the older one, there's an additional sound component added here, and it actually gives a lot more weight to the console as well. Whereas on the newer ones, we don't see that component. You have your eject button here, which is loaded on a spring. Same thing over here. And there, of course, is where you put your game pack for the connectors. You can see on the newer one, it's easier to get to the board. There you have the two PPUs. And those are actually proprietary to Nintendo, so they are a bit difficult to replace if something goes wrong with those. We see the fuse here, that little component right there. If you ever have power problems with your Super Nintendo, you might want to look into replacing that, as well as double checking that your AC adapter is working well. And you have the same fuse over on the older model. And of course you have your power switch and the reset button here. And on the inside of the lid, the only thing interesting here is that there is a mechanism in place that you can't put in a game pack once the system is turned on. Notice here, if we try to turn it on, this doesn't open, so you can't put in any more games. And that's just because of this little lever right there. This one here doesn't have that. I think it just fell out because we do see that same mechanism in place. So on this one, because it's not there, if you turn the power on, you can still access to put in a game, which is bad for the game pack and the system. Something else to note is that on both of these systems, the connectors are screwed in, whereas on some Super Nintendos, those are actually soldered to the board, so you wouldn't be able to replace them. And there are websites that do sell replacement connectors for the Super Nintendos. And then the controller ports here, these are connected with a ribbon cable. As far as I know, if something goes wrong with that, you have to replace the entire component. So those are just some things I thought were pretty interesting about the Super Nintendo. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks!